What's happening, Hammers? Dan here from West Ham Fan TV, back with another edition of Monday Musings. Nicky's not available this week, so I'm filling in for him. We've got a lot of content that goes up throughout the week, so it's not always easy to get these up. It's a bit tricky, so that's why it's not up on a Monday. But let's dive straight in, shall we? So, the first question we put out was on our Twitter at West Ham Fan TV. If you do want to get involved in the conversation each week, by the way. Was Snodgrass and Fonte in, Payet Out. Where has our money gone? Now, West Ham, I believe, we've got a good bit of money sitting in the bank. Gold and Sullivan, especially Sullivan, they have quite a lot of money. We've just sold Payet for 25 million. So far we've signed Snodgrass and Fonte, but we've been sort of penny pinching when it comes to a striker. We haven't gone out and really sort of splashed the cash to really make the improvements that we needed to push on for the rest of the season, I feel. Now, when you look at it, some might say, Payet, that money came late. I think from the moment we knew he was going to be sold or agreement was going to be reached, then we could have went out and spent that. We could have lined up the deals and had that ready. But don't forget, we've got 25 million for Zaza that we were supposed to sign. If Zaza was going to turn out to be any good, we was going to whack 25 million on him. Turns out it wasn't very good. We've still got that 25 million to spend. If you're at you've got that 25 million, you've got the Payet, that's 50 million on top of all this other money that we've got that we didn't go out and spend. I believe we had a bit of money left over in the summer. When you look at like TV revenue and all these other things. Now we've got this stadium, on the cheap, as a lot of people like to point out. We could really have gone out and splashed our money, and we're being cautious still. The Scott Hogan thing, we're not going in for him now. They wanted 15 million. Bilic, for some reason, believes we're covered in the striker position. I disagree. I think we could have gone down at least, maybe whacked a bit of money on a decent loan. But yeah, it just feels like they play it overly cautious in the transfer window, and they don't like to spend the big money. So that's a bit of an issue. But just don't forget we have that 25 mil for Zaza that they're not spending. Don't just think about the Payet money. So for me, if we still go the same way in the summer, I'll be very, very angry with the board if we do not go out and seriously spend. Not like last summer where you're sort of putting down, you're trying to buy these world-class players but not wanting to pay big wages and big fees. We've got to if we want someone, we go and get them, straight up. Let's take a look at what you guys had to say. At Lukey Malden says that the money has gone on a winger that is not needed and a 33-year-old centre-back. Rather have played Oxford and put 18 million towards Sturridge. With Fonts, knowing what we know about Ogbonna, I think Oxford is sort of coming back off injury. I think he'll be a good addition for the rest of the season, but it's someone that you'd want to sign as well as the positions that we wanted, a right back and a striker, not just sign a centre back. We've got Collins as well, so it wasn't a critical position that we needed. And then a winger, which we've got an abundance. There's loads of people that can seemingly play there. And the Sturridge one's an interesting one. A lot of people say he's injury prone. Which he refuted. Actually, I saw an interview where he said, I'm not injury prone. These are isolated incidents, but they all add up. But I think he's a class player. I'd love to see him at West Ham if we could keep him fit. At Hammers Shout said. David Gold, David Sullivan and Karen Brady's bank accounts, simple as that. They don't want to spend money. Last summer proved that. That's exactly what I was saying. They seem to be trying to do things on the cheap, not wanting to spend the big money. And at PBM 1968 says they are using it to pay the debt or themselves back. As a minimum 15 million of Payet's fee should have been used on the striker. It's interesting with this debt thing, right? Because you'd have thought that, wouldn't you, over the years that they've been using it to pay, the debt, or they've paid the debt and it's onto themselves. But it came out last year, I think it was in the summer around then, that we're still £100 million in debt, which blew my mind. We all thought The debt was getting paid off over the years, bit by bit, but we've still got that debt that's hanging over us. So you'd think that they're paying the debt back, but it doesn't appear that way. But yeah, I'd say at least 15 million we could have whacked down on a striker. But then again, like I said, still got the Zaza money. Everyone's forgetting about Zaza, the 25 million that we didn't spend on him, that we had set aside for a striker. So there is that. At Stan WHU1, there he goes, says, don't forget the Zaza money we had put by 2. Yep, exactly. At Callum WHU says, Payet hasn't been sold yet, there is no money yet. Well, as I've just said, several times, Zaza money. And again, if you know he's going, the agreement's in place, even if it's a day's difference, that money's coming in, you can spend the money. They've got money in their bank. Let's take a few more. At Alex PB Sport, money has gone in their back pockets, just like the revenue from the London Stadium and selling Upton Park. Need to sign a right back and a striker now. Yeah, that's it. So you've got the sale of Upton Park. You've got the revenue we're getting at the London Stadium. So there's that money as well. And we desperately need a right back and a striker. The summer is critical for me. I would have liked to have seen a little bit of cover. We can't rely on Carroll, even if it's a loan. I take a loan at both positions, see at the end of the season, and in the summer we need to make some really quality signings and improve on those positions, the right back and the striker. But that's the key, isn't it? And another thing here, Andy at Andy88WHU says, I think the Davids are working on their get-out plan, keep us ticking over, but no big investments into transfers. That's another key point there. If they are looking to sell the club, then they're gonna want to, keep us getting by without making major investments to maximise the profit they get when they sell the club. So that is a very sensible analysis. That they don't want to sit there and spend, millions and millions on West Ham's transfers. When they could sort of do it on the cheap, sell the club, maximise their profit. And I'm hoping they do sell it to, a real good investor. Rich Arab is what we're all hoping for, fingers crossed. But yeah, that I think that's a sensible analysis, and that could be exactly what they're doing. It makes sense. So the second question we put out was, will you accept that the summer may be the place to spend the money, as we've just lost our best player in a decade? I touched a bit on that earlier. I would say yes. I would have just liked to seen that cover, especially at right back, because we've only got one right back. And that's what I'm saying. We could have done loans just to add that coverage. But it looks like we're going to hold on to maybe Kaleri then and have him as cover for the striker position and Fletcher. But yeah, it's not ideal cover, is it? And the right back, like I said, we've got one, so we could have at least found someone. I don't know if Arbeloa is still hanging around, but he's not a great option. He was in the pub the other day at the Palace game in the Carpenter's Arms, so I don't know if he's keeping his fitness up. So I'm going to wait in the summer to see what the board does. I'm going to really judge their actions in the summer as regards to the transfer window, and if they don't do the business, then they've completely lost my support. I've been critical of the board, but I'm really waiting to judge them after that summer window. So let's see what some of you guys had to say on that one. At Harry Hamilton 97 says, yes, everyone's valuation goes up in January. We fucked up last summer. Let's put it right in this one. 100% agree. This transfer window, this summer, we have to learn. From our mistakes of last summer. If they don't learn, then, I don't know what to say. And you're right, it is like a January transfer window tax that clubs seem to put on, and it's a much shorter window, so it's difficult. So I believe we can get through the season. We're not going to get relegated. We've got a good squad. It's just keeping everyone fit, and now with Payet's gone, that unity seems to be there. So another one from Lukey at Lukey Malden says, do you honestly think they will open their pockets properly? We've got no European football to attract now. Yeah, that's a difficult one. You know, we said we had the European football, the promise of that. Um, and it would rest on them really offering, you know, good money. And, you know, past experience has shown that it's doubtful whether they will. At Tom Down 3 says, you pay for not doing business in the summer just gone. They only have themselves to blame. 100% agree. That's the thing with this. You know, in the January transfer window, they know they didn't do the business, so they should have been prepared to pay that extra money to make up for it. At Rob Hergic says, it would be nice to replace him, talking about Payet, now, but maybe we can buy better in the summer. Yeah, definitely agree. I mean, people are talking about Sigurdsson as a replacement for Payet. 20 million, I think that would be good, especially if Swansea go down. I think we should definitely go for Sigurdsson if we're looking at that replacement. At West Ham Shout says, yes, definitely August is better value for money, but we all know the money ain't going to get spent, don't we? Yeah, well, we'll see. Like I said, past experience has proved that they probably won't, but we'll see. At Jack_Hobson12, better off waiting until the summer. January is a difficult time to get good players. Yeah, I agree. You know, there's not many January transfer windows where we've really signed a good player. At West Ham, Josh V says, we can't depend on attracting players in the summer as it is highly likely we won't qualify for Europe, unfortunately, this time. I think it depends. You know, we need to get as high a finish as possible. I think this January, where we've had a bad run of games, it's affected us. So players have probably looked at us anyway and said, yeah, they ain't gonna qualify. And you know, a month ago or so, they probably thought they could get relegated. So yeah, it's a tricky one. Like I said, the money is going to be the main thing. We need to spend. At Matt's for IT, I think we need marquee signings in the summer, a striker and a midfielder, maybe a keeper. Yeah, definitely. Like, you know, well, last window was supposed to be about getting a marquee signing going into the stadium. That obviously didn't happen. So, you know, they're just going to have to, you know, learn how to do the business, pay what the asking price is straight away. No messing people about, no increasing bids by a couple million. You know, pay what they want, get our player, and really progress and add to this team. You know, we've got a good foundation there. We just need a couple of really good striker. Would really do wonders for us. A goal scorer, stays fit, consistent. That is exactly what we need. A keeper, yeah, I mean, a real class keeper. You know, everyone talks about Joe Hart. I mean, I'm quite happy with Randolph, but if you can improve on Randolph, go for it. But I would say it's not the highest of priorities for me in the summer. At Ian Latimer 80s says, let's spend some money, but I like to see some of the kids get a lot more game time next season. I agree. Definitely got to start to implement some of our youth. You know, we've got Reece Burke, Reece Oxford, Josh Cullen, Martin Samuelson, Marcus Brown, and Tony Martinez. These are players with a very bright future, and they need experience. They need game time. I think Josh Cullen, it's his time. You know, I think the ones that we've sort of had out on loan for a couple of seasons, it's time for them to start to get on the bench and get some starts maybe, or come off the bench and get some Premier League experience in our squad. And the others, I think maybe you know, maybe Oxford go out on loan next season. Martin Samuelson, I'd like to see get a chance. Maybe Reece Burke. Yeah, so I think it's time. I think it's time to really push the youth, but then again, also make some quality signings at the same time. At Vaz18_Flick77 says, think we have enough to see us through. Spend the money in the summer and don't make promises that don't materialise. Fully agree. Just get on with it. Don't, you know, go on and say, yeah, we're going to sign this person, we're going to sign that person, right? Just get the business done. And so we're not disappointed when it don't happen. But we're all having high expectations anyway. And then, yeah, I'd say we probably do have enough to see us through, but it all depends on injuries, and that's it. If we're unlucky and we get some injuries, it could all come, falling apart. So we'll see. Take one more on this. At Fergus_WHUFC. Yes, wait till summer to spend big on a striker like Icardi or Moussa Dembele from Celtic. Yeah, I mean, they're players that would be a good addition. I mean, Dembele would be an interesting one. He's done really well for Celtic. Can he do it in the Premier League? Who knows? But yeah, spending big on a striker is an absolute must. Carroll and Saka. I mean, Carroll's actually, on a good run, touch wood, of staying injury free. Saka, he was injured, came back for 2 games, got injured straight away. So we definitely need to spend big on a striker. Lastly, will you be seeing the new Iron Man movie or will it be too emotional? Your thoughts? So, yeah, I mean, I'm looking forward to seeing it. I watched the trailer and it did look really good. It'll be good to relive those final moments and the build up and see different people's perspectives of it. It will be emotional. But I saw some really interesting stuff in that trailer. Getting to see. I think it follows a few different people. I know Ribman's in it, and you get to see their sort of thoughts and feelings on leaving at the time, going into like the new stadium, what they think about it. And it's funny actually, from the trailer, I think you see Ray Winston's in it as well, and you see like how they're feeling about it before the last game, the emotions, the build up to that, and then their impressions of the new stadium. And from what I saw in that trailer, their impressions of the new stadium was the same as pretty much everyone's first impressions. Like, wow, this looks amazing, in a way. You go in there, didn't you? Like, you see the size of it at first and you're like, wow. And that's obviously before all the problems came out of the stadium and everyone sort of turned on the stadium. But so it's really interesting to see those perspectives. So I'm definitely going to check it out. Let's see about some of you guys. So, at West Ham Shout, stupid after tearing us away from our home that they have the cheek to make a movie about how good it was. But I'll watch it. Yeah, I mean, that's the thing, innit? Like, if it's a spin movie to show us how amazing it all was and how great it is and all of that, then I don't think many people are just gonna buy into that. But I'm just interested just to see some of the interviews and see little different perspectives and like maybe the build ups, maybe interviews with the players, just that sort of stuff. But I'm not going to buy into any PR spin if that's what they're trying to do. At Tom Down 3 says 1,000,000% yes, and any true West Ham fan will want to watch it and get upset watching it. Yeah, I reckon. At Andy in Exhale, I think that says, got to see it. It will be a great film. Sadly, there will be a wave of negativity regarding the new place off the back of it. So yeah, I think what he means is maybe what I just said is people saying, because like I said, when they go in and they're saying wow about the stadium, it's going to make people think, well, no, there are a lot of problems with the stadium. Seats are too far, all of that stuff's all negativity. We might come back to the surface. But like I said, first impressions for most people was like wow at first. It was when I walked in there. At Clarent Blue 71 says yes, will be my life the last 60 years. At Matt4IT, I thought Iron Man 3 was the last one. Yeah. When you first hear it, it was like, Iron Man? Is that like a sequel now? And it's like a new Iron Man film with like multiple Iron Men in it. But yeah, they went for the title Iron Man. Interesting. At Dan_Druff 1974, I don't want to watch it, but I will absolutely go and see it when it's out. At Andy88WHU, definitely watch it, but I think the timing is wrong with the issues this season, with the new season. Should have waited 2 years. Yeah, it's a tricky one. I don't know, maybe the timing of when they was making it was always planned to be released around then. I mean, I think it's coming out in March, so if we get a good run of results, everything starts to pick up, it will be better for them. If we go back into a slump, then I don't think people are going to watch anything that's showing how great the movie is and all of that, if that's what it's saying. But at Mark Russell 09 says, yes, I'll watch it, but I know every emotion from fond memories to rage will be felt. Yeah, I mean, I just think with this film, I think it's a film every West Ham fan's gonna want to check out for all different reasons. Um, you know, it's a film about our club, about probably the biggest moment in our club's history. You know, when we left Upton Park. So, we're all gonna check it out. And yeah, I reckon the emotions and the happiness, the sadness, and the anger and stuff all's gonna come to the surface. But you know, got to be done. Got to watch it. We'll see if it's any good. We'll probably do a little piece on it, a review or something like that going up. So thank you everyone who took the time to send us a tweet and reply to questions. Sorry if we didn't get enough time to read yours out. We do get a lot of tweets when we put these out, but just keep tweeting when we put the questions up, and we'll definitely get round to yours at some point. Leave your questions, your answers below to the questions. Any of the thoughts and opinions you have, leave them below. We'd love to hear what you think if you didn't, get round to tweeting us. Don't forget, check out all our other videos, and obviously like us on Twitter or follow us on Twitter, so you can get involved in the conversation. Also on Facebook, all of that stuff. Nikki should hopefully be back next week for the next edition of Monday Musings. So we'll see you then. Come on, you irons.